baby, countdown's begun. Truth on the mic and I'm loading my gun. You stuck in the past, we rising above. This ain't blind faith, this is tough love. I used to be deep in the cult of the flat, arguing nonsense in my tinfoil hat. But now I'm awake, no longer blind. I looked at the stars and I opened my mind. Reality's real and it don't give a fuck about your echo chamber or your YouTube luck. The globe predicts flat fails every test. Your model's a mess and mine is the best. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, will you admit that it's a trap? This ain't some truth quest, it's just not. The globe accounts for observations that flat cannot. This is the WWF, where we chant we were flat, where we had a faulty belief, and we are so happy that we shed that belief. We were able to finally drop it. Now we on a mission, yeah, now we trying to stop it. It's okay to be wrong, it's sexy to grow. Stand up for truth, let that old shit go. This ain't about pride, this is about facts. I left the cult and I'm never going back. North and south, who sees the sun going bright? Opposite flow, both seeing the light. Can your flat map show that dance? Nope, so you lie, scream, you spiral and you cope. But hope ain't science and faith ain't proof. I deal in data, I live for truth. Your circle map's a trap, your logic snaps. You can't explain jack, all you do is lie and yap. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, you should ask yourself, why's that? Now's the time to review those faulty beliefs. Time to say no more to those flat earth priests. They grifting and lying straight to your face. Worse than that, they lie to the whole human race. The globe accounts for all that we see. Flat earth's just fantasy on LSD. It's okay to be wrong, that's how we learn. But clinging to lies, that bridge should burn. I'm loyal to logic, married to proof. Took the red pill, now I'm high on truth. Truth ain't always what we want it to be, but it's always what we need it to be. Grow up, glow up, show up, real. Flat earth's fake, that's the deal. I see y'all grifters still running the con. 10 years deep and still dead wrong. You ain't truthers, you're anti-truth. You're lost in a loop, afraid of the proof. But me, I'm proud I flipped the script. Took that cult and I let it rip. Now I walk tall, globe in my hand. I left the flat, joined the grown-ass land. Where's the South Pole, baby? Draw it on your map. When you can't, you should ask yourself, why's that? Now's the time to review those faulty beliefs. Time to say no more to those flat earth priests. It's okay to admit you were led astray, but it's sexy as hell when you walk away. This mic is for the brave, not the cult, not the con. I spit for the truth, now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear. The WWF is right on time. Time to grow up, leave the flat behind. Leave the flat behind.
Now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear. The WWF is right on time. Now the countdown's gone. The WWF is almost here. 1, 2, 3, ring the bell, no fear.
Dim the lights, it's time to ring that bell.
Got some people with a story to tell. We fell for a theory, yeah, we all fell flat. But like WWF champions, we fighting back. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found more. We were flat, yeah, they used to bind us. We were flat, now we're leaving it behind us. Used to say no curve, now we curving that cap. Dodge that echo dream and now we back on the map. Globe, impossible, yeah, we used to say it. Now we know the truth, we took the evidence and weighed it. We were flat, yeah, we said it, we owned it. Now we are the ones who are trying to expose it. So come listen in and learn from our mistakes, and how we now realize that the flat earth is fake. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, they used to bind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us.
All right, you guys ready? Episode number 5 is going to be Amorel. He's coming up here in a second. Get comfortable. Get your girlfriend. Share the show. We'll be right back.
The South isn't a lie, homie, it's correct. We woke the hell up, now we're setting the tone. This is the WWF, you're not alone. Back on the ball, we're flat no more. It's the WWF, hear the crowd roar. From around the globe, it's crystal clear. Flat is false, so welcome to the steer. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, it used to bind us. We were flat, now we leaving it behind us.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 5 of We Were Flat, the WWF show. I am going to be playing with a little bit of audio issues today because I'm still on this new mixer, so hopefully everything's good. You should be able to hear me. Give me a 5-by in the chat if that is true, and then we're going to bring on our guest, and then I need a 5-by if he can be heard as well. So let me bring him on. We've got Amorel. Amorel, nice to meet you. Nice to talk with you. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, yeah.
Excellent. Good. Doing better now, maybe, that you're not on the flat. You're not getting close to the edge or anything, so that's good. Let's see here. I did do a poll at the beginning. I wanted to see what we have here. So we've got 90 votes in the poll, and the question was, would you consider yourself a former or ex-flat earther? And we've got 22% saying yes. So that's right there's an impressive number, if you ask me. So we got 90 people times 22%. Just want to see what the number that is. It is, oops, that's not what I want to do. 90 people times 22. And we get equals, so that's 20 people. All right, not bad. We'll take that. I don't know who those 20 are, but thank you for voting. And yeah, so I know we can definitely count you as one. Oh, let me show people your proof, because I've been asking for the proof of, you want to tell people what your proof is?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, among many proofs that I was a flat earther, I guess one big one is that I got a tattoo of the Gleason's map on my calf done when I was converted.
Yes, I'll show this for you. This is his tattoo. He showed me right before the show. Obviously couldn't do it now because the camera's set up now. But that is on his calf. And so we were talking, he was thinking about maybe putting an X through it so that it looks like my logo or something else. Or if anybody's got any ideas of what we could turn that into, maybe we can make it a globe somehow. I don't know. It's going to be kind of tough, but it's probably possible. I'm sure they could do it. Anyway, that is pretty good evidence, if there was any, that somebody is a former flat earther. That pretty much does it. So let me bring him back on, and we'll get started. So I guess tell everybody, a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you got into the flat earth.
Sure, yeah, okay. My name's Amorel Lerner. I'm a musician. I like writing music and stuff. I don't know. My first exposure to flat earth was through a musician friend of mine, and I thought she didn't actually believe it was flat. I thought it was the stupidest thing. I thought she was just looking for attention, but she was the one that introduced me to flat earth.
Have you talked to her since?
I've tried, yeah, but it's
okay, gotcha. One of those.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, I know one of the common themes you've had in your shows, I've been watching some of the interviews and stuff, and you were asking about if there was like an event or a trauma or something before you became a flat earther.
Right.
And I'll go into it. I'll tell you, like, first of all, it was COVID time, and that was very, very hard on me mentally. I was having a really hard time trusting everything that the news was telling us and blah, 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 you know?
Right.
My mom, who has Alzheimer's, was in a semi-assisted living situation, and they sent her to the hospital because her Alzheimer's had gotten so bad they couldn't take care of her anymore. So she basically was stuck in the hospital for all of COVID, and I couldn't go see her. She was very distressed in there, man. You know, and that was a huge thing. And then on a more lastly, but probably most importantly, is I actually found myself in the hospital. I had a mental breakdown and was coming to terms with the fact that I need to take medications to stay level and stuff like that. And I was in a psychiatric ward when I asked my flat earth friend, when I got my phone privileges back, I asked my flat earth friend to send me something to watch, because I thought, you know, why not? Right. Why not just investigate it for once? And so I actually, that was when I first, she sent me an interview with Eric Dubay, and I was really, really, really surprised by the interview. I wasn't converted over the course of that one interview, but I went and consumed more and more of Dubay's content and became convinced after I watched his video called, I think it's called History of the Flat Earth. After I watched that video, I was just like, holy shit, you know, it's flat. And I thought it was the answer. I thought all we have to do is prove to people that it's flat, and there will be an uprising, and all this bullshit will go away, and there'll be a new world come into view, and it's going to be amazing. And
you're not alone in that. A lot of us thought that. A lot of us thought that was the goal, kind of, or that was the end game for the flat earth, was that we would change the world.
Exactly. So then I became basically a flat earth evangelist, for a lack of a better word. I didn't go preach flat earth to everybody I knew, because I knew I'd lose my job, I'd lose my credibility, but I always had my antenna up for people who might be receptive to that message. I was always like, that was my number one goal in life, was to show people that the world was flat.
Did you so now, once you're in the flat earth, did you start making friends that way, or did you pretty much stay to yourself? How did that work?
Pretty much stayed to myself, because the only other flat earther I knew lived, like, she's the girl that introduced me to the whole thing, and she lived about an hour away. So I would go on Eric Dubay's IFER's website and try to communicate with people, and I made some online friends, maybe, you know, a few online friends. I did manage to get a couple of my coworkers interested in the flat earth movement to the point that they were open to it. I don't think they ever really fully bought in, but they were like, holy shit, maybe it is flat, kind of, at that point, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because it's most people don't have a proof, right? If you were to ask most people, what's your proof that the earth is a sphere? They wouldn't have one. And so kind of is something that you can get people with open mind to start to lean that direction.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. And then since you've made your change, have you talked to them, or they they know now?
They know. I kept them on board with the final experiment, because that played a big role in me coming out of flat earth. Even before you guys went to Antarctica, I knew that the flat earth was bullshit. And I sort of I kept them posted about what was going on with TFE. And I'm pretty sure they've abandoned any flat earth leanings now, you know, like, I think they might still sometimes wish it was flat, because that's such a cool answer to the problems if it was, but
Yes.
it's not, you know?
Yes. So it's interesting though. You said that before TFE that you had already known it was bullshit. So what happened between you becoming a flat earther and then not? What is the reason that you knew it was bullshit? I guess we'll ask that way.
Okay. Well, it really, like, TFE was more than just about, is there a 24-hour sun in Antarctica? TFE was also about, how are these flat earthers going to react to being offered a free trip to Antarctica? And I heard about TFE and I was pretty excited, and I emailed TFE and said, hey, has Eric Dubay, because I was an Eric Dubay guy. He was my guru of flat earth, if you will. And I emailed TFE and I said, has Eric Dubay gotten back to you guys? And Will Duffy got back to me and he said, no. Do you know how to reach out to him? And in fact, I did, because I was a Patreon supporter of his. I paid a monthly subscription, and so I was able to message him. And I messaged Eric Dubay and I said, hey man, you might get a free trip to Antarctica and go down there. Now, I didn't tell Eric Dubay when I sent him this message, but I was already questioning flat earth at that time. I wasn't 100% sure anymore. But I just said to Eric Dubay, look, man, you got to take this trip if they give this to you. And he got back to me and he said, you know, how did he say it? I should have screenshotted it, but I'm not subscribed to his Patreon anymore, so I don't have the message. But he was basically like, he said, I don't share your enthusiasm about this final experiment. It's just a straw man. And
How could it be a straw man?
Yeah, and something like you can't tell, you know, the line, you can't tell the shape of the earth by the lights in the sky.
Yes.
Well, that's not what he's been saying for years and years. He's been saying there's no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. So why don't you go down there and put your money where your mouth is, was my thought. But the way he slithered through that, it kind of made me sick, man, because I really trusted him for so long. You know, I really thought he was like one of the only people that was really speaking truth. You know, I was really sucked into his movement. You know, I was really there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I'm surprised that, well, I guess now I'm not surprised, but at the time I was surprised too that anybody would say no to a trip that was offered, because I couldn't do that, and I wouldn't even know how my audience would react to that. They must think like, oh, this guy doesn't really believe it if he's not willing to go and test it. Come to find out, it's like the opposite. Now I went and tested it, and these people didn't change at all. They're the same belief, and in fact, they just have changed me into one of them, basically pushing me into the Glober category and saying, there's even people saying now I've never been a flat earther. Been doing it for 10 years. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I know. And even with Eric, you know, because I was so into him, I still kind of watch him a little bit just to see what he's up to. Right. But he, made a big debunk video about TFE. And I'm like, dude, you don't have the right to debunk TFE. You were offered to go there where you could have actually debunked it on site. And now you're like from thousands of miles away on your keyboard trying to debunk something that you were invited to go to. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And then he says that, at first he started out by saying it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all. And then he said, but some people have been acting shilly. Jaren's been acting. It's like, hold on a second. I've said the same belief the whole time that there was no 24-hour sun. There was no 24-hour sun. They offered me a trip. I said, let's go down and see. Let's see if there's 24-hour sun. So I never changed my thing. But he's the one that had that in his 100 proofs or 200 proofs. And then he switches it to it doesn't matter, and then throws me onto the bus saying Jaren's acting shilly. By going down and observing what we've been saying for 10 years, that's not acting shilly. That's called being a man. That's called living up to whatever you've been proclaiming for 10 years. So the guy has always been on my shit list. He's just not impressive to me in any way.
Yeah, he was impressive to me. I found his presentations to be really concise, and I don't know, I got sucked in, man. I got sucked in. And you know what? To be honest with you, I didn't think you were going to go to Antarctica. I thought you were going to fake sick at the last minute or something. I didn't think you were going to go, man. So I'm so glad you went. You may have read a few things on the IFER's website that maybe made you think that way about me. I'm just guessing. I think you're on his wall of shill shame or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm like right up there. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you know what I mean? It's so funny now looking back because I don't know what to think of Dubay. Really, I don't know if to place him into the category of he's always been kind of like a shill because he was here first and all that stuff. But on the other hand, I look at him as just somebody who recognized that some of these people are just out for themselves. Mark Sargent, people that he warned me of back in the day, and now I see who they are. And so then I kind of look at it and say, well, maybe he did have a pretty good take on some of these people. But still, you have to be able to when you're given a free trip. I don't know how you don't go. I don't know how you turn that down. So. I still wonder
if he was genuinely a flat earther at the beginning, but I know now, like after you've been offered the free trip and there's no way he could know. He knows it's a globe, he knows.
Yeah.
It's a globe.
And he's just going to, and it's the same thing as like any of these guys that the guy Saab or Dave Weiss, they all said, Saab was talking to Will and said, oh, if you guys see the sun, if it goes off to the northwest and sets, then you're on a flat earth. And if it goes around you and starts arcing to the south, then you're on a globe. Well, of course, when we go down there and show what actually happens, which is what he said would cause a globe, well, he can't say that. So he has to go back to saying, oh, no, there's other things still. And I didn't know what I was talking about. And Weiss just changes up his opinion. So people need to be aware of that because that is a problem. Talk about moving the goalposts. That is exactly what that means. And that's kind of blatant and disgusting, where you're saying, if this is the case, then, what I believe isn't true. And then you go down and find out that is the case. And then they have to just make up whatever. And that's why Dave Weiss is on this whole trip about it being fake, because he has to, because the other option is he has to live up to what he said and admit that it's not flat. So,
and I think if I can just say this, you and I chatted briefly about this beforehand, but I think like in the more Christian flat earth group, I think there's a belief that, in fact, I know there's a belief that if you say the earth is curved, you're going to go to hell. It's a satanic lie and you've been deceived. And so there's like people like, I don't know, maybe like Joe Hanvey or something like that. Like they'll do all the mental gymnastics. Yeah. Anything other than admit that it's curved, because I think they're afraid for their souls or something. Like it doesn't make sense, but
it doesn't make sense, and it's actually dangerous what's going on now. Just to let you know what happened with Joe Hamby and myself yesterday. So Joe Hamby made a post on Facebook that said basically the sun goes the same direction at all times. It always goes from east to west, and so any talk about counterclockwise or clockwise is a red herring because it's just about perspective, and the sun goes the same direction. End of story. So when I see that, there's a problem with that, because if the sun goes one direction, then why is it in the north people see the sun? If we all went and watched the sunset right now, somebody in the north is going to see it set left to right. And if you go to the south, somebody's going to see the sunset right to left. But we're watching the same sunset. So I just went into his comments and just said, Joe, can you explain this? Why is it then that if the sun goes in one direction on a flat earth, how could somebody in the north see it set a different direction than somebody in the south? And I was kind of waiting for his answer. And of course, the reason for that is because we happen to live on a shape that predicts that. Meaning that if you're on the north side leaning one way, you're going to see the sun set a certain direction. But if you're on the south, you're leaning the other way, at which point you would see the sun set the other direction. But it's the same sunset. So it's a feature of living on the globe. So I was trying to get his answer there so that I could show him that there's only one shape that allows that. And so what did I find out? I go back and look if he answered me, and my comment's deleted. I'm like, what? I didn't even say anything bad. So then I go look at my messages, and he sent me a private message. And in the private message, he said, hey, I deleted your comment because I don't want to debate. I don't want to say anything bad about you. You don't need to say anything bad about me. Let's just be cool, or something like that. And I was like, no. I said, okay, then delete your post. And he's like, I'm not going to delete my post. I'm not doing that. I'm like, wait, so you're making posts on Facebook, and then when somebody's got the reason that it's not true what you're saying, then you're going to just delete. I mean, that's scary, because then that means that. So these people are on YouTube, on Facebook, making posts that make it sound like the sun goes one direction. That's all it does. Everything else is a lie. And then not allowing people to actually say anything different or come back and say, hey, that's not right. And then you have all these Christians, and there's no wonder why they all believe this stuff. It's because he posts something like that. They go look at the comments. They're not going to see anything in the alternative. So they believe it. And that's getting to be what I'm noticing now is their game plan. Dave Weiss does the same thing. They block everybody who has anything bad to say about them so that they live in their own little echo chambers. That Scam-Arctica video by Steve Falconer, terrible, complete and total joke. But because it's liked by flat earthers, he leaves it up on his channel, And now all the flat earthers will go watch it and they'll all believe there's some sort of scam in Antarctica and it doesn't work out on the globe. But the opposite is true. It's just, how do you get through to those people that are using tactics like that? I think it's disgusting.
Yeah. I don't know how you get through to them. I don't think you can. I think you just have to accept that some people are just going to cling to a falsehood, you know? I don't know the answer.
Sorry, I was just looking at the chat. Somebody says, the poll isn't a yes or no question. How do I answer? It says, would you consider yourself a former flat or ex-flat earther? Yes, no. That's pretty much a yes or no question. Not really sure. Yeah, so that's where I'm, but you're right about the religious thing. Man, the people that I talk to, the ones that give me the most shit back are the Christians, by far. Because, yeah, you're right, that I've joined Satan's side, that I'm satanic now, I sold my soul to the devil. And I mean, to me, it's kind of funny. It's also sad, but it is funny because I'm telling the truth. And so there's no, how am I supposed to stop telling the truth? Well, I'm not going to. So as much as these people go at me, as much as they trying to attack me, as much as they call me a shill or say I sold out, I just have to let that happen because they're the ones who are wrong. They're the ones who are incorrect. They're the ones who are lying. And I'm the one being honest. So what else can you do but just sit there and take it and be like, all right, well, eventually, and I know this is the case, whether it happens in their lifetime or not, I don't know. But eventually when they realize that they're wrong, they're going to look back and remember the things that they said to me and to other people. And really, I hope that they feel terrible. I hope they feel really, really bad because that's not something that you should ever say to somebody who's telling the truth. And everything I'm saying, there's nothing that I'm saying that isn't true. Whereas when Joe Hamby makes that statement or when other people make a statement on Facebook, it's just not true. And then you got all these proofs that have been debunked already and they still say them. And you got TikTok. They're saying everything on TikTok and people believe that because they're just watching these quick videos. Nobody takes down anything. It's a pretty scary situation that we're in because people are just taking people's word for it. That's the bad thing. You shouldn't do that. I don't know if you saw, did you watch the Blue Origin launch the other day that sent Katy Perry? They launch them up to 60 miles or so. Yeah.
I saw about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and, they're all claiming that that's fake. And then what they point to is stuff that makes it not fake. I mean, first of all, they show a dummy hand in the window. They're like, look, it's a dummy clearly in the window, which it was. But the dummy is from 2017 when they sent a dummy up in the capsule. So they've showed, they're trying to show it like it's current, like it happened with the Katy Perry one. So you've got people even lying about it. And then you've got people laughing at them opening the door from the inside. And then Jeff Bezos kind of goes up there and opens it from the outside. And it's like, what is so weird about that? That of course you want the door to be open from either side. What if you're stuck inside there? If it crashed somewhere, you want to get out. And if they're crashed and you're on the outside, you want to be able to get in. So it's like those things are not evidence. And then it's just so clearly not something that could even be faked. They haven't even given a mechanism for faking it. They haven't said, oh, this is what happened. They dropped the capsule and then they had a team. No, they can't because it wouldn't make any sense. So it's like they can't even get anything right when it comes to something as simple as a 60-mile. I mean, why would they ever think that that can't be done? They're just throwing them up very high and letting them float down. It's like we have capabilities to do that. That's not that big of a deal. But just to claim that it's fake, again, is it a publicity stunt? Absolutely. Is it a glorified carnival ride? Absolutely. Is it way too expensive? 100%. Is it simply a reverse bungee jump? 100%. Is it any evidence of space or even the shape of the earth? No, not really. I believe that if you got up high, you would see a circle around you if the earth was flat. So you would see the same thing that they saw. So it's not even something worth claiming is fake, but it's just, this is the flat earth's only mechanism now. And I'm sure you saw it, right? Anything that goes against the narrative is fake all the time, every time. Yeah. Yeah. That's unfortunate because now they've gone too far. And I used to think, I used to be on that side, obviously, because we're lied to so much. It's like, yeah, it's better to assume that everything's fake and then work your way back from there. But I never knew it was going to go this far to where now even real things are being called fake right off the bat. And it's the most lazy position you can take. It's just, I'm not going to look into this at all. I'm just going to call it fake. And then they see somebody else call it fake and they see somebody, and then they're like, oh, now our whole team will call it fake. And it's pretty sad because a majority of the world does not look at things that way or think that way. Yeah. Yeah. So, unfortunately. Okay. And then, so Eric Dubay then said he wasn't going to go. He didn't share your enthusiasm. So at that point, did you unpatronize him, or if you would have called that?
Yeah, I unsubscribed from his Patreon at that point. Yeah.
Right. And did you tell him why, or did you ever say anything to him?
I didn't say anything. I didn't really know how to. I just quietly unsubscribed and just never messaged him back again. I did comment on one of his videos later on, you know, and he responded to that. But yeah, no, I've never had any touch with him since then.
Okay. And how about your family? What happened with them through the whole thing? Was your family with you? Was it against you? How did that work? Yeah,
well, my daughter laughed about it kind of and just sort of chuckled and just, you know, because I'm a quirky guy. I get sucked into movements from time to time, you know, and she just kind of chalked it up to, oh, it's another movement of his, which it did turn out to be another temporary phase of mine. My
be
son,
lucky that you only did a couple of years. I had a lot more invested in that.
Yeah.
Be lucky it wasn't 10 years.
3 years for me.
Okay,
but anyway, yeah, my son was more adamant that we engage in the discussion, and so we would sit down and I would put videos about the moon landing being faked or the flat earth or whatever, you know, these kinds of things with him. And we would discuss things, and he never ever bought in, but he, you know, he always engaged me in conversation, which I appreciate that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he ever, I mean, did either of them call you names or say you're stupid, or they didn't go there? I'm just wondering.
Well, my son wrote a tongue-in-cheek kind of song, which he's going to put out on all the platforms someday. It's kind of a, you know,
my dad's a flat earther song.
And my dad's a flat earther song, kind of song. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It was kind of a funny thing.
Well, it's good that it never came, you know, some of this has driven a wedge between son, father, mother, son, you know.
For sure.
That, and I saw that real early, and I made sure that I started telling people, and this would have been 3 years in or something, where I said, do not fight with family about it. It's not worth it. And if you start calling them a moron and they call you a retard, then you're going to have a problem that both people have dug their feet in, and they're not going to allow the other person they're not even looking for that evidence anymore. They're just looking to prove themselves right. And that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you guys didn't go there. And I know that you just got married, right? Because I know you tried to get married in Antarctica, or you thought about it. And then you ended up getting married recently. And then tell me where she fit into this thing from when you met her to now.
Oh, I had recently come out of flat earth, like probably maybe I had been out of it for about a month. Like it was a month after my message with Eric Dubay, where I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm not a flat earther anymore. And, but I actually met one person online that was a flat earther that lived in my town, and she invited me to a party, and I just told her right off the hop, I'm not a flat earther anymore. And she said, oh, you can still come out, bring your guitar or whatever, hang out. And I met Judy at this party, and we hit it off. So basically within a month of getting out of flat earth, I met Judy. So
and Judy wasn't a flat earther.
Never
Okay.
was she. Yeah.
All right. Well, nice picking. Nice job. He needs to modify that tattoo. Just add, this is an impossible map, or flat earth showed me how gullible I can be. I don't think he wants to tattoo that necessarily, but let me see real quick here. I'm just going to check if there's any questions for you in the fan funding there. If anybody has sent a super chat, I don't think I've seen it. Oh, we did have one. Dave's Waffle House says respect. I don't know what that is. Respect end? Thank you very much. $2 from Dave's Waffle House, or £2, whatever you want to call that. And I'll check back on the regular chat, see if anybody's got any questions. You have any questions? Anything else you wanted to get across to people? I mean, I know the religion thing is a problem, and I don't really know how to address it because it's been a problem, and I'm one of the rare people, and I know Dubay was too, right? Dubay was never religious, but the movement has become religious.
Yeah.
It's definitely gone that direction, and that's scary because now I've got a bunch of people that won't even look at won't even look at the idea of it being a sphere because they say God didn't make a sphere. Whereas I look at it and I'm just way different than that. I believe in a creator, and I believe that whatever the creator made would be impressive and amazing, and it shouldn't be something that man can do, right? So the flat Earth is kind of like a man's idea of the Earth, right? It's a flat Earth, and the sun goes around it, and everything's kind of simple. And then the globe is much more complex and kind of crazy, really. But I think that what one makes more sense as far as something created. To me, I don't have a problem with the globe. And for me, I would expect the Bible to be written like people then believed. So it's no problem to me that the Bible is a flat Earth book, or that they write it from a flat Earth perspective, because that's what they thought the Earth was 3,000 years ago. So, but nowadays, you would think that people are a little bit further along than that, and unfortunately, they're just not going to see it because they think that God created only a flat Earth. So what do you think about that? You've dealt with any of that?
Well, okay, this is a passion of mine. Like, I used to be a Christian, even before I was a flat earther. I left Christianity, but I used to be a Christian, and I got to a place where I no longer believed in the Christian faith. And like, I think like flat earth is crazy, okay, but it's crazy because it seems crazy because only a few people believe it. But these religions, the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they are equally, in my mind, equally as erroneous as flat earth. They make claims that can't be tested or proved or any of these things. But because we've got billions of people that follow these religions, they don't seem to be crazy. They're accepted as acceptable path. But I think, like, honestly, like, you get two groups of people that think God promised both of their groups that land, and they go to war over the Holy Land because, like, I think that the Abrahamic faiths, I think, are equally as false as flat earth, but way more consequential. Like flat earth, to me, I can laugh at the fact I got the shape of the earth wrong. But, if you're going to war because you think that some imaginary God in the sky promised your ancestors this land, like that, to me, I don't know. So I'm not too embarrassed about the fact that I was a flat earther, because yeah, it's crazy, but it's not as detrimental as the religion that I used to believe in, and the religion that billions of people believe in. That's kind of I know that's a bit of a detour from. No,
they're definitely in line with each other, because I've been talking to a lot of people this week even, and yes, the ones that are the most difficult, the ones that I'm having the hardest time with, are the ones that want to tell me, man, crazy thing. Yesterday or today, somebody that I respect a lot and everything was talking to me and said something about Jesus being alive, and I was like, well, I mean, he's dead, because that's what happens when people die, and they're like, oh, how dare you? How dare you say Jesus is dead? You're not God. And I said, I didn't say I was God, but what do you mean Jesus is dead? And she said, no, he's alive. I'm like, okay, we'll move on to another subject, because I'm not talking to you about whether or not a 2,000-year-old dead person is dead or alive, because they're dead, and it's not even a question. But this person just, wants to believe that, and it's, yeah, you're right. I could see where you're like, flat Earth is crazy, but at least they're not saying, well, just because of the flat Earth, that somebody who died a bunch of years ago is actually alive. So I get it. It's kind of a little bit, and again, I know a lot of people that are very good people because they're Christians. So, but there's also a lot of people that I think, one of the doctrines of Christianity is that you can always be forgiven, or that you've kind of, all your sins are on Jesus. And that's not a good thing to believe. I personally believe that I'm responsible for my sins, right? So I will pay the price for my sins. I will have to atone for my sins, but I certainly don't think it's a good idea for me to say, you know what, Jesus died for my sins, so now I'll just go and do whatever I want. As long as I believe in Jesus, life is good. I don't think that's a smart move either. So
yeah, that's exactly. The implications of believing in any of these religions from a personal level, like what you're just talking about, like I'll just shirk my responsibility because Jesus paid for it all the way to a global level where there's been wars and people, like churches used to burn you for saying Jesus isn't alive, and stuff like that.
Even the pedophile stuff that happened with the Catholic Church and the Catholic priests, I wonder how much of that is a direct result of thinking Jesus died for their sins. They've given their life over to God. Everybody's a wretched, terrible person when they're born, right? We're told that we're terrible in God's eyes. So maybe they go that direction and think, you know what, I've given my life to God, so I'll be fine. I should be Who knows? I wouldn't know that.
You might be right. You might be
Yeah.
right. It's kind of like, I like speculating about these kind of things too, because I always wonder, like, what the heck? What's up with that? Like, why are there so many cases of child abuse in the Catholic system? And you don't know why, but it definitely boils down somehow to that whole system of thought. There's something in there that is rotten.
And I can tell you, because I grew up in the Catholic Church, I was a receptionist in what they call the rectory, which is where the priests live. So I got to see kind of how they interacted and everything. They're very much like regular people, but on the same end too, if you looked at who they were around a lot, they were around a lot us altar servers, the kids who worked in the rectory, the altar servers. And then that's why I look at it and I wonder if you've taken away something that is natural in people, and that is the desire for the other sex, or the desire, whatever you have, sexual desire, if you will. And so you've removed that from them by saying, no, you're a priest now, you can't do that. And then they're around all these boys, and I'm guessing that's what happens, which is just disgusting, terrible, horrendous, and sad. And so that's, you wonder, you're right. I do agree with you that it could be much, much more detrimental in the large scheme of things. And like you said, wars, they're killing people over things. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And let me see if anybody has any questions or comments, can you please write at Jeranism or something so I can see your chat, and I'll check that. And if nobody's got any questions, we can skedaddle, unless you have something else you want to talk about. But I appreciate you coming on. We're trying to the point of these is just to let people tell their story, number one. And then also maybe it can help a few people that are out there that maybe are on the fence. Maybe they, when they start hearing, so far we've heard from every single person, nobody has said they didn't have trauma right before they found Flat Earth, which is kind of interesting. That's something I never even considered before until we started these interviews. And I noticed that now we've got a trend going, which is every single person, what are we on, episode 5? And then include myself, so 6, and even more. I mean, if I have had people ask me, where's Patricia, where's Paul, where's Robbie? So just, with the court case going on with the defamation and the cease and desist, they're not supposed to talk right now. So that's why, if you're wondering why they haven't been on the show, let that pan out first, and then they'll be on after that. So I don't think I see any questions. Go ahead.
Can I plug my music for a sec?
You can plug whatever you want. Plug anything.
Okay, yeah. So I like writing songs, and on my Spotify and YouTube channel and all that, I shortened my first name just to A-M, and my last name Lerner, Lerner. But if you search Lerner, I've got a bunch of music up there that I like sharing with folks, and my most popular one is called Nudist and Buddhist. So check it out if you're interested. I like it.
What do you play?
I play the guitar and sing,
Okay.
right? Stuff like that, yeah.
Very cool. My mom was a keyboard player. She played in a lot of bands. And just to let you know, she passed away back in 2019. But I had a dream a couple years ago where my wife came into the garage and she said, "Your mom's here." I'm like, "What?" So I went outside, and there was a whole bunch of people in the street, and there were people with guitars and all these things. And I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? And she goes, "Oh, well, when you pass away, you have to find a group that you fit in with." And then she goes, "We just go around playing gigs." And she's like, we're on our way to Vegas right now. And I'm like, "Vegas, you're walking?" And she goes, "Yeah, we walk. We'll be there in a couple of days." And it was just pretty crazy. And there was like all these people, and they were like yelling at her, like, "We got to go. We got to hurry." So it's kind of funny. But that's what I guess you do. If you wanted to know what you do when you die, you're going to have to find your group and then walk around and play gigs for a long time.
That's a great dream, man.
So yeah, it was a good dream. And then she told me that they worry about their mental state in that next phase of life. She goes, "We don't have doctors, we don't have injuries, we don't have a physical body we have to worry about. We are just thinking about," because I asked her, "Is there a God?" And she said, "We don't know either." She goes, "We're in the next step where we still don't know. We debate that, but we are worried about our mental health, not our physical health anymore." So I don't know, just funny dream. Probably means absolutely nothing, but who knows? Also nice.
It's cool though. It's cool.
And she got to meet my son in the dream, so that made it worth it because she never got to meet him otherwise. So seeing if anything else is any questions. Doesn't look like it. Shifty Eye says he's not playing gigs for people. No, but Shifty, whatever you like, that would be your afterlife, right? So she's a musician, so I'm not going to go playing gigs for anybody. They don't want to hear me sing, that's for sure. Ronnie Coleman says, have you believed in any other conspiracy theories before getting into Flat Earth? To Amor. Yes, I mean, there was ones before that. Certainly the moon landing has been something I've thought was a hoax for a long time. And I'm trying to think of when it was that I found 9/11, probably right before flat Earth. I found 9/11. So I'd say those two things. I had started to kind of believe in some conspiracy theories and grow from there. But no, until then, until 2012, I was a store manager of a drugstore, and that's all I had time for. I was a single father, store manager of a drugstore. Worked 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Got home, got the kid dinner, watched a baseball game, and fell asleep. And then did the same thing the next day. So I didn't have time to worry about stuff like that. But I think that's why a lot of people with COVID found so-called the truth movement. What do you think the chances are that this is some sort of a psyop to discredit the truth movement?
I totally believe that, man.
Yeah,
I totally think flat Earth is thrown in there to make everything else that you believe look stupid.
Good call. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that the truth movement was getting too good. Probably people were starting to make too much sense. And by introducing the flat Earth and then knowing that because what I've noticed is there's very few truthers who have been able to hold their position that the Earth is not flat. And I gave them all a hard time. Stefan Molyneux was somebody who was a truther, but he said the Earth wasn't flat, dismissed him. Larkin Rose, somebody who never went to the flat Earth, and people just dismissed him. These people lost followers because now if you've got a truth channel or you're a truth teller or a researcher, you're going to lose viewers if you're not a flat earther, because the flat earthers will just say, "Oh, this guy's not a flat earther," then he doesn't know about the truth. He's a disinformation agent. So what they've done is they've really muddied the waters now. That anybody because you figure if you're educated or if you are in any walk of life that has any kind of education, you will quickly know that the flat Earth can't be true. It just can't be true. It doesn't match any observations. The globe Earth matches every observation. It predicts things. It predicts everything that we see in the sky pretty much perfectly, whereas the flat Earth can't predict anything. So I wonder if what they did that for is so that when somebody starts looking into the truth movement and they find these flat earthers, they just dismiss the whole thing. It's completely dismissed. And it might be the case for a long, long time, because I don't think we are at a place where we can look into the future and say, oh, there won't be flat Earth around in a year, or there won't be flat Earth around in 5 years. I think it's going to, obviously, we've already gone and shown that there's a 24-hour sun. That didn't faze anybody. So kind of a scary thought. I don't know, but I'm glad that you think that way too, because I'm glad I'm not alone in that. I do think it is probably the case that it is a psyop in some way. So
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Judy sent me a thing today thinking about this interview. She sent me a statement. It says, it's crazy how some people need no proof to believe a lie, but demand endless proof to accept the truth.
Wow.
It's kind of, so that's where I was when I got into flat Earth.
Right.
I mean, there were proofs, quote proofs, Eric Dubay's 200 proofs, but
they're more conjecture, right? They're like, I don't know what I would call them. I know what you're saying, because when I found flat Earth, it was almost like a mindset. And actually, I do think, here's something I just realized recently, and maybe I need to fix the way I've been talking to people, is that I'm not even sure how many flat earthers think the Earth is flat, more than they believe in that mindset. It's like an anti-establishment mindset. It's no matter what you say, I don't believe you. We've been lied to about everything. So guess what? I don't even believe in the sphere Earth anymore. It's almost like a mantra, but I don't know how many people actually really believe that the Earth is flat. I don't know. To me, I start to look at it like, I wonder if maybe I didn't realize that I was in a movement that was more about that idea than the shape of the Earth. So then when I go down there and I make an observation that tells me that the shape isn't what we thought, this has pissed them off, because they're like, yeah, but there's more to it than the shape, right? It's like, because I mean, again, if it's just a matter of the shape, then they should realize that it's not flat and can't be flat just by looking at the observations. And then let's move on to real conspiracies, but they won't give this one up. So, yeah, that's a very, very sad thing, because I do agree with the mindset for the most part of flat earthers, but I also am true to reality. And I know now that the Earth cannot be flat. It's just an impossible thing. There's no possible way. I'm 100% sure that you'll never wake up and the Earth be flat. Now, again, should I say 99%? Probably. You want to leave that little bit open just in case, but there's just not. It's not going to happen. You're not going to find an answer to all these things that a globe perfectly answers. You're just not, unless you invoke a dome and it's a refracted superfluid at the sky. I mean, and again, the problem with that to me is, if that's the case, then it's a deception by God, which I don't believe in either. So,
well, yeah, the same thing. I know we're going over time here, but like when Joe Hanvey talks about this apparent sun, we all see these, like there's a real sun somewhere, but we see an apparent sun. Well, like what if everything's apparent then? Where does apparent stop and reality begin? Like it's the mental gymnastics that guy's doing. It's almost like I feel embarrassed for him just listening to him talk, but
it's
whatever.
Embarrassing. Because here's the thing, it's like that is what pseudoscience is, right? So when we got into flat Earth, for me especially, I went hard against science for their pseudoscience. And I said, if you don't go by the scientific method, then it's pseudoscience, and everybody agreed with that. And now the flat Earth has become the mecca of pseudoscience. Apparent suns, we don't, dome refraction. What the hell is dome refraction? Dude, I mean, you can't, now you're making up words and you want us all to buy in like, yeah, it's, and I hear people come and repeat it. Dome refraction, Jaron, you don't understand how dome refraction works. I'm like, yeah, I don't have any idea how that works because you've just made up something. So you got these guys saying that, they had a problem with dark matter and dark energy. And now why did we have that? Well, it's because the scientists look in there and they say, well, it must be there. There must be something there. So we'll call it dark energy, dark matter. Well, that's what the flat Earth is now doing. They're doing, well, it must be this to have our model work. So we're going to just go ahead and invoke it. It's like you guys have become exactly what you hated. And now they're going around indoctrinating children, telling children lies. That was a problem when we got into flat Earth. It's like these teachers are telling children lies. We got to stop it. Well, now I realize that the other side's telling the lies. The flat earthers are teaching their children lies. The homeschoolers are teaching their children lies. And it's going to come back to bite them in the future because those kids are not going to be accepted or going to be shunned from a social group or some type because they believe in something that is absurd and is not match evidence at all. So
yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, there's kids in this movement that, and that's a bad thing, that's bad.
Yeah, it is because again, and I always said from day one, teach your children how to think critically, not teaching them that the earth is flat, because then you're doing the same thing that you were against the other side doing. But that's, that seems to be the case, is that people are teaching their children that. And then the thing is that they're not allowing them to see the truth. Like I said, with blocking comments on Facebook that just because somebody says, oh, I don't want to debate. Well, if you don't want to debate, then don't be on Facebook posting things that might be false, because that's what it is. You posted something false, and I'm just trying to tell people that what you're saying is false. But if you're going to block me, I mean, what are you going to do? And then, oh, no, I'm going to keep my post up. Okay, great. So now every Christian that reads that post is going to read it. They're going to look at the comments and say, oh, there's nobody who's got anything bad to say about this. It must be true. And it's not.
Well, and it kind of sucks that YouTube and all the algorithms block flat earth content. I think flat earth, let it be out in the marketplace. Let the ideas and stuff be disseminated freely, because then it can be exposed for how stupid it is. But when they block flat earth content, then flat earthers like me were thinking, oh, they're blocking the truth and we have
like
to
me.
dig.
Yeah.
It
does. It's not a good method to do it. I see why they do it, but at the same time, I'm wondering, I don't know how you could test that, but I'm wondering if that has hurt it more or less. Because what they basically have done is they've stopped it from being spread to more people, but they've actually reconfirmed it to the people in it. Yeah. So you've got a stronger base. You've got these guys who won't give it up at all. They think I'm a liar. They think that I've joined the other side because they won't even watch my videos. They won't even watch my reasons, because they're like, you could never believe something for 10 years and turn your back on it that quickly. But the thing is, you have to, in order for the earth to be flat, the South has to be a lie. And that's something that we all knew back in 2015, 2016. If the South is what we're taught, which is the opposite of the North, then it can't be a flat earth. If the South operates just as a flip of the North, which is what I've come to realize, that's exactly what it is. And that's what I saw when I went down south is, everything that I see in the North, now it's reversed. The sun is setting right to left instead of left to right. And the sun's going backwards, and you're just like, oh shit, that can't be anything other than a sphere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I hate the fact that it's censored. I hate when they make censorship or laws against speaking about certain conspiracies or something like that. That bothers me. I wish all ideas should be free in the marketplace, and the stupid ideas will be exposed as stupid in time, and Will Duffy did a great job of exposing flat earth as a stupid idea, And you know what, the thing about Will Duffy that I haven't been able to answer when people ask me, like, what does he have so hard against the flat earth? I don't get it. He's just a preacher. What is he so upset about flat earth? And I kind of was like, I don't know. He just had a friend who got into it who he doesn't like that.
But now that I've been dealing a little bit more with Facebook and talking to him, and I'm like, dude, have they been doing this the whole time? He's like, the whole time. So the whole time they've been blocking people's comments on Facebook. The whole time they've been posting things that aren't true, that then they don't let the alternative be said. Now I get why he's so upset about it. Now it makes sense. I'm like, oh, you have to hate that. If you're somebody who likes truth and you see lies being told and then propagated, and then you're blocking comments and not allowing the alternative position, I can see why he's upset about it. I really can. Because even me, I at first came back and was kind of like, I'm just going to go do something else and just kind of let Flat Earth go away from me. And then when I saw, what Dave Weiss was doing, what these people were doing about lying about me and things like that, and then calling it fake and saying it's a fake sun, I'm like, no. I know what the sun is. Nobody faked the sun to me in the sky. You can't do that. And so it's just, I see where he's going. You get upset at it, and then you're like, man, I don't want these people. I feel bad for people that are stuck in there. I really do. I just want to check if there's any other comments here. You have, who said that? Peter said, oh, is that to me? Jaron, the video footage of the actual liftoff and landing looks super CGI. I will always disagree with you on this. I don't know what you're talking about. You talking about from the
Katy Perry thing?
The Katy Perry thing? Yeah, I don't think I would say that it doesn't look CGI or doesn't look fake, but you can, and I posted that video on Telegram, you can go watch, I forgot which mission it was, not the last one before that, but the one, maybe it was even earlier than that. But anyway, when you watch the whole thing, from them loading them in there to the people coming in and double checking and giving final instructions, and then you watch them turn the fans on, and then you watch them leave and lock the door and set it up, and then you watch them go up. It's so clearly real. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to put it. Those are not screens. You would never have like why would Katy Perry or these people be like, oh yeah, I'll go up for 11 minutes and come back and lie to the world? Imagine what you're saying. If it was ever determined that it was fake, then what? We have 60 people that have gone up in there, and then people would attack them for being liars. I mean, that's never going to happen because they're not lying like that. So it's just pretty sad to see. But I agree with you that it doesn't look completely 100% real, but you can actually read into it. You can look into it and see that it is real. And, the capsule comes back, you see it land on the ground like that, and then people all say, oh, it's too hard of a landing, there's no cushion. It's like, no, that's what the smoke is when it comes out, or the puff of air that comes out right before they land is to soften that landing. And then you actually see that capsule there. You see people pull up to it, and then you see them, they're in there. So I don't understand where the fakery comes in, where people think that, I have heard people say maybe they drop it out of a plane. But it's like, okay, well then why is your argument that the landing's too hard? Because if they dropped it out of a plane, it still has to land. So you saw it land for real. So they don't even have a clue what they're talking about. They can't even get their hoax story straight about what is exactly going on. And why wouldn't we be able to launch people up into the sky and then have them float down? It's not proof of the shape of the earth at all. And yet people, I mean, what it is too is they've promised people space travel for a long time. Long time they've been talking about, since 1970 they've been saying, oh, there's going to be space travel, we're going to go to the moon, and so now this is kind of like their excuse, like, look, people are going to space. It's like, yeah, I guess if you want to call it that, they're just going up really high. I wouldn't necessarily call that space. And they call them astronauts. Like, what a joke. They're not astronauts, or I'm a pilot, right? I mean, I go on an airplane too, so do I get to be a pilot? They're not astronauts because they went on. That thing is completely autonomous. There's nobody flying it. It's all done by computer. So they're not astronauts. I don't know what you would call them. They're adventurers, I guess, or something. All right, any final words before we head out?
Not for me, man. I enjoyed this chat. I would love talking about this stuff.
Sorry, Scoundrel. Where'd you at, Scoundrel? Scoundrel says, I've deleted 30% of my comments on... Oh, I'm sorry. So, I don't see it. Scoundrel says, answer my chat. Where is it? YD says, even I don't watch Jake the Asshole, but at a glance, I see he has over 500 live, and here you are with 128. That speaks volumes. Yeah, exactly. What do you mean that speaks volumes? I went against the flat earth, so why would flat earthers watch me? I don't think you understand what speak volumes mean. Do you expect, and this is the funniest, another thing that flat earthers get wrong, they're all saying that, oh, Jaron flipped for views and for money, and my channel is taking a complete dump. I'm getting 1/5 of the views I used to get. So it's like, they're not even smart enough to realize that. They're like, oh, Jaron did it for money, he did it. What do you mean I did it for money? I've completely killed my channel over it, and it's to tell you that I'm the only one being honest. Am I the only honest person? Yes, I do believe that. I do believe that nobody else is being honest with you. And that's just the way it goes. So I don't care. He has 500 people that are retarded in my mind watching his show. So I don't want them. I don't want those people. And if it means I don't do YouTube anymore, then so be it. What's your favorite conspiracy? Scoundrel asked. There we go. There you see it.
Asking me?
Yes. He wanted to know your favorite conspiracy.
I got to say no comment at this time. I don't know.
Okay.
There's too many things that I'm not sure about, and some of them are sensitive issues, and I'm an honest person. I don't know the answers,
Right.
and I'm curious about the answers. But I will say that since being shown that flat Earth is wrong, I definitely am open to the fact that other conspiracies, I believe,
Well said.
could be wrong.
I'm in the same boat. That's where I'm at too. I don't think that I can't picture some of them being false, but I'm open to it now, which is different than before, where I really felt strongly that I had all the answers, and then I'm realizing I don't. So I see somebody else says, "Wow, Jaron really flipped. What do they have on him?" So that's the problem: is that people can't understand that there is evidence in the world that will tell you where we live, and when you go down and look at it and you see it, you have no choice but to come back and report what you honestly saw. So people are just baffled by that. And then they don't realize that I've been on my channel recently, still saying I don't think we went to the moon, still having a problem with rovers on Mars, but I'm open to it now. But I've turned the science crowd away from me. So people don't recognize that when you are yourself on YouTube, when you are honest, when you are truthful, that's the worst thing you can be on YouTube. Hate to tell you, that's coming from a 10-year YouTube veteran, that it is the absolute worst thing you can do. What gets you more people, what gets you further in YouTube, is to cater to your audience. So Jake's over there catering to his audience. Do you understand? He's saying what the audience wants him to say. He's become what the audience wants him to be. So this is what all YouTube is it's the people driving the creators to become who they want them to be. Mark Sargent is who the flat earthers want him to be. David Weiss is who flat earthers want him to be, right? None of these people are true and honest to you, because if they were, they would end up like me. So why would anybody do that? Why would anybody take the abuse I've taken or turn their back on a group of people that you used to be a part of? And again, people can't even understand it. They look at it, they're like, what? You can't do it. What do they have on you? They have absolutely nothing on me. That's the thing. But I have my honesty and my integrity, and I'm going to live by that regardless of how many people hate me for it, because I know it's true. At this point, it's not a question for me of whether the earth is flat. It cannot be flat. It is not flat. There's no way it can be flat. There's no mechanism for it. There's just nothing. It's got nothing. It's got no predictive power. No, it can't make predictions. It can't answer questions. It doesn't explain things, whereas the globe Earth does explain. If we have a 24-hour sun in the north and then 6 months later, a 24-hour sun in the south, the globe Earth will explain it to you by saying, look, because you live here, that's what it predicts. That's the observations we have. Great. So we live on a globe. But Flat Earth wants to just make up things and say, well, it's dome refraction. Dome refraction, and we need a superfluid ceiling. And so God did all these crazy things that he didn't need to do so that we would think it's a sphere, but it would actually be dome refraction. All right. Final words, or we are out of here? Any final words? Do you have any advice for anybody? Maybe people still in it?
Geez, I wish. All I can say is just like, I think about it. Like at the end of your life, when you're leaving this earth, like you don't want to live for a lie. Just really think about it, and just really like, yeah. So what? You're wrong about the shape of the earth.
Yeah, get over it. Get over it.
Not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. It's if you're wrong about the shape of the earth, you're wrong, and I don't know.
And nobody's been mean to me. Nobody's been mean to me, right? I mean, was anybody mean to you when you said that you were wrong? And nobody's giving you shit about it. They just kind of, yeah, okay, welcome back, right? Like Will or these people, nobody's giving you a hard time about it.
No, nobody's giving me a hard time. I mean, the flat Earth community. I don't know very many flat Earthers, but I know like the friend that introduced me to flat Earth. I think she's one of these folks that believes that it's a salvation issue. If you say it's curved, you're under Satan's influence or something like that. And I just feel so sad about that. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's tough.
You don't want to live your life for a lie. You don't want to be on your deathbed realizing that you lived your life for a lie. Like seek truth, and when you're proven wrong, just eat the humble pie and admit you were wrong, because you'll find more truth that way in the end.
Right. That's how we grow, right? We grow from being wrong and learning the truth, and we move from there. But yeah, if you're a flat earther, you need to think to yourself, what has it accomplished in 10 years? If it really was the truth and the globe was a lie, there would be things that we would have uncovered, things that would be being talked about, because we'd say, hey, look, they say this, but actually the truth is this, and then the evidence shows this. Wow. And then you would have something, but flat earth has contributed nothing. They've contributed nothing besides pointing out a couple fake things, like fake Stephen Hawking's experiment or the Nat Geo. And then I tend to look at those now as those were done on purpose, that they weren't accidental, that they don't mind that people start to think that way, because it actually causes more strife, and then it also hurts the truth movement in total. So anyway, we've got, Respect says Dave Waffles House. We've got Scoundrel, who did ask what your favorite conspiracy was, for $20. Thank you very much for that. He also gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for that. And he also said, welcome to the WWF. More. Oh, I see. You're saying his name. Amarell is what you mean. All right. I think that's good. I appreciate you being on. We have more coming up. There's probably another 6 scheduled. If you're interested in getting scheduled, hit me up either at Telegram, t.me/Jeranism, or through email, which is at wwf@jeranism.com, and we will get you on the show. All right. Last words. Given to you. Anything to say?
No, I'm out.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. We'll listen to the outro or the intro on the way out of here, and we will see you guys next time. And I remind you, please do your own research. When you do, you'll never again believe that you can't tell the shape of the ground by looking at the lights in the sky. You most certainly can. Till next time, guys. Peace.
Dim the lights, it's time to ring that bell. Got some people with a story to tell. We fell for a theory, yeah, we all fell flat. But like WWF champions, we fighting back. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found it. We were flat, yeah, they used to bind us. We were flat, now we're leaving it behind us. Used to say no curve, now we're curving that cap. Dodge that echo chamber, now we're back on the map. Globe, impossible, yeah, we used to say it. Now we know the truth, we took the evidence and waited. We were flat, yeah, we said it, we owned it. Now we are the ones who are trying to expose it. So come listen in and learn from our mistakes, and how we now realize that the flat earth was fake. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, they used to bind us. We were flat, now we're leaving it behind us. Some globe deniers, to spherically correct. The South isn't a lie, homie, it's correct. We woke the hell up, now we're setting the tone. This is the WWF, you're not alone. Back on the ball, we're flat no more. It's the WWF, hear the crowd roar. From around the globe, it's crystal clear. Flat is false, so welcome to the sphere. We were flat, but not anymore. We were flat, somehow we found the door. We were flat, yeah, it used to bind us. We were flat, now we're leaving it behind us.